Hi everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Final Girl unboxing. This is for a Rockin' Harvest, starring Grimlash featuring Shady Acres. This is part of Series 4, which will be released over time and eventually should potentially have a Kickstarter. So they won't be like back-to-back unboxings. If you're watching these in sequence as they're coming out, you probably won't see them all right away, because only a few have been released at a time. But we're going to definitely hop into this. So we have Grimlash here, who's going to kind of be a combination of, I think, like Headless Horseman, because you got like the pumpkin theme going on, and then there's kind of like a ancient, dark, maybe Cthulhu-esque-ish old one's power behind it. So I think it also falls into the realm of like Jeepers Creepers. I think kind of going with that. Like, here's a supernatural being that's kind of out to get you. On the other side is we have Shady Acres, which is a big farmland area, which is very Children of the Corn. So it'll be fun to hop into those and see what those do. So let's take a look at our back of our sheet here. And always, not a standalone game. You need the file box to play this. And then you can mix and match everything. The fields are alive with the sounds of madness. They say you reap what you sow, and you're in for a rotten harvest. Down old dirt roads, beyond endless rows of corn, you'll find Shady Acres. It's a simple town, but something has called you to its rural plains. A strange echoes whisper from beneath the fields, bringing the ever-growing madness to those under its influence. Its name is Grimlash, an ancient deity reawakened by the vile sacrifices now offered to him by the town's most innocent, the children. Can you make it out of the fields with your mind intact, or you perish at the hands of a strange god? It's very, very interesting. Cool. So let's go ahead and we're going to take a look at our killer first. We have Grimlash, has 4 horror, he has 10 health. He has a madness level at the top, which is going to actually be tracked with this little tiny pumpkin. And then we do have some extra madness cards in here. So we have stuff for madness level 1, level 2, and level 3, different colored backs to kind of help keep them apart. So you're going to keep track of that. We have some extra meters on there as he goes up in his staff. He's a little flaming scythe hook. It has like a bramble-ish type being, like a pumpkin. So let's look at our rules before we hop into the other cards. We kind of know what we're dealing with here. So we have our 3 finale, epic finale, 3 dark, epic dark, our 15 harvest madness cards, 5 per level, madness marker, 16 tarot cards, and our 2 final girls, of course. So he has slumbered into the bowels of earth for many centuries. The last of his worshippers now lost to ancient times, but something has reawakened the strange god and his cohort. Is it the season, the bad harvest, or the moon rising right over the old oak tree? No mortal can possibly understand his power or stop it. He has returned, and his hunger demands a grim and bountiful harvest. Yeah, it's a very interesting design. There's our little icon. So what do we have in here for special stuff? Separate the harvest madness cards by level and shuffling each to create 3 separate decks. Place the harvest madness marker on the starting space of the harvest track, outlined in orange, located near the top of the killer board. Harvest madness. Increase your harvest madness will give you additional abilities, but may come at a price, possibly death. Whenever you see the pumpkin icon, move the Harvest Madness marker 1 space to the right on the track. When your Harvest Madness marker reaches the corresponding to a new level, draw 2 cards from the Harvest Madness deck. For the level, choose one to keep, discarding the other. Harvest Madness card abilities remain effective as long as your Harvest Madness remains at that level or above. Okay, cool. So eventually you can possibly get 3 different abilities, but if you get too many, you end up dying. I'm guessing that's what the little death part is, which probably says in the next line. But yeah, there's 5 cards each, and you're going to get to draw 2 of them and get 1 choice. So it's always this fun thing, is a little bit of randomness to the game, plus replayability. Important. If your Harvest Madness increases beyond level 3, indicated by the space with your skull, you immediately lose the game. When resolving health, you may recover health as normal or reduce the Harvest Magnus. If you choose to reduce your Harvest Magnus, move it marker one space to the left for each. You must choose to either recover health or lower your Magnus. You cannot do both. If your Harvest Magnus drops to lower level, you must discard the corresponding Magnus card you just left. If your Harvest Magnus later returns to that level, once again, draw 2 cards from the appropriate deck. Oh, that's kind of cool. So if you look at 2 cards and you're like, I don't really like either of them. Right, neither of them are really helpful. And you could potentially drop it back down a level if you heal. And then you can replace it by drawing a new next card next time it goes up. So that's kind of neat. When drawing Harvest Magnus, there are not enough in the deck to reshuffle and draw again. Some Harvest Magnus, once per turn effect, require you to flip the Harvest Magnus card face down. During the upkeep, flip them face up. This effect can use again. And they might tell you, flip down, all your basic action cards, your 0-cost action cards. Alright, so yeah. The killer himself doesn't do anything special. He's just out to hunt you down and do stuff. But what's going to come is having these Magnus cards, which are going to give you kind of special abilities, but they're going to probably also be somewhat bad for you. Interesting. So let's first of all take a look at our brand new Final Girls. See who we get to play as. We have Vicky, just to heal, move a space, or gain time and time. And Vicky gets to, while resolving a walk or sprint action for each 1 star in the final result, you may spend a time to move an additional space. Alright, neat. So she just can move around a little bit quicker. And then we have Joy that looks at the farmer's girl. Gain a time, move a space, or minus horror 3 times. And she has, once per turn, you may ignore a single damage or hit, or health loss. Okay, cool. That's actually not too bad either. Let's take a look at what our killer does against us. So we have our dark powers to look at first. I was looking at what those do. Right of the old ones. These are always the bottom of the character. When your Harvest Magnus level increases to a new level, discard the next terror card. Oh, okay. Root-bound Curse. Whenever you resolve health, to either heal or reduce Harvest, Grimlash recovers half that much health rounded up. Oh, yeah, because I didn't even think about that. If you heal 3, you can either heal 3 or reduce the Harvest by 3. Interesting. Rite of the Corrupted. During the upkeep phase, the pumpkin, if Harvest Magnus did not increase this turn. Okay, so you increase the Harvest if it did not increase already. And then, of course, we have our epic dark power, Fields of Magnus. Your horror rolls are modified based on the Harvest Magnus level. So level 0 or 1, you get -1. Level 2, no effect. And level 3, +1. Oh, that's kind of neat. So basically, the closer you get towards death, the better your rolls are going to get. That's kind of fun. Then we have his finale card. This will tell us what he does. He picks a final girl or victim, moves 1 space, attacks. If the victim is killed, the Magnus goes up. Unless it was you, then you just lose the game, right? So then we have this when he has double movement instead. Whenever Grimlash resolves an attack, add the Harvest Magnus level to Grimlash's attack value. Ooh. So you can get up to 3 extra attack. Ancient Abomination. Hunger of the Old Gods. Double move, double attack. At the end of the killer phase, all victims move 1 space towards Grimlash. The Withered Harbinger. There's a scarecrow up on the thing. Double attack in that one. For every space Grimlash moves during the killer phase, -1 time. And then his epic finale, which is double kill. When revealed, kill all victims. God of Blood and Grain. And then, of course, his Bloodlust is going to go up a ton for doing that. Oh, pretty cool. Alright, now let's take a look at our Magnus cards. So we have level 1. They're kind of like the yellow-greenish ones. Thorn Choked Veins. We are all bound by blood. Increase your maximum health by 1. When this card is discarded from play, increase your maximum health by 1. If you're any health above your maximum health is lost. Okay, so that's not terrible, right? You can increase your health by 1 and heal. Blooming Pestilence. Life begins in all manner of ways. Flip this card face down while on a mechanic or exit space to receive a health. Okay, awesome. Hollow Soul. Souls are overrated. Flip this card face down during the horror roll to reroll 1 blank die result. Vile Prowess. With a swing, 1 swing of the scythe. Flip this card face down when you roll 2 unmodified successes to gain 4 time. And Decaying Humanity. I have to put away humanity for something greater. Flip this card face down to convert a double by discarding 1 action instead of 2. Okay, neat. So none of these are bad, right? They all have some utility. And I think that's kind of the idea. If you're going to eventually get to Magnus level 1, and you're going to get a decent card that's going to be helpful for you. But you can only have 1 at a time. So even if you ever drop down, you have to lose your card, and then you have to gain another one. And if we look at Harvest level 2, which are kind of the orangish-brown ones. Visions of Beyond. He has come from somewhere beyond and deep within. Gain 2 time for each horror. Okay, so now this one's good. It kind of goes in the middle. It's still a positive effect. You gain 2 time. Gain 2 time each time you gain a horror, but it comes at the cost if you only gain it if you get a horror. Vulgar Regrowth. Shit's nasty but useful. Flip this face down to ignore damage. Blood of the Reaper. Don't fear the Reaper. Flip this card face down during a horror roll and damage to recover. Oh, and take a damage to reroll all your dice. Okay, so again, a little bit of a cost to that. All-consuming energy. All things devour. Birds, beasts, trees, flowers. Flip this card face down during a horror roll and take a horror to change 1 die to a 1 star. And then Primal Awareness. The old ways stand to the test of time. Flip this card face down during action phase, resolve an action card costing 3 or less from the action tableau as though it was played from your hand. Alright, so then what does 3 do, which are like the red ones? 1 with the land. This land is your land. Increase your maximum health by 3 and heal 3. When this card is discarded from play, reduce your maximum health by 3. Any health above your maximum health is lost. Entangled Fates. Twisting like vines, tendrils of the fate devours all. Whenever you would draw a terror card, draw 2 and resolve 1, place the other on the bottom of the deck. Unnatural Possibilities. Time flows differently. Your action cards cost 1 less. Telluric Visions. Let death talk to you, and with it, hear life. When making a horror roll, always roll 3 regardless of horror level. If Bloodlust is at its maximum and Bloodlust is increased due to raising a horror level, you immediately lose. So again, some of these have no bad things, some have pretty bad ones. Then Fiendish Vitality. I can eat the whole cow. When you flip your black final health token, recover 2 if it is blank. So these are kind of a neat idea. So we're going to kind of see what, so it's the idea of like, you're gaining all these powers for the Harvest Magnus going up. And there's really overall not too much of a downside to it, outside of the fact that if it gets up to the last one, it dies. But there's 2 spots. A little sticky spot down there. So yeah, it's 2 spots, 2 spots, 2 spots, and then 3 for level 3. And then basically if you want to reduce that, you have to sacrifice your health, and then if you drop down, you might lose that ability. So if you got used to using the level 3 ability, but you really need to heal that so it doesn't end up, you end up dying, then you also now you lose that ability and you don't have access to it anymore. So very interesting. But we're obviously going to see with the terror card, if there's more things that are going to punish you for letting that build up. So there might be reasons to not gain that advantage, or it's going to be a lot riskier to do that. So we're going to start the first one. We have, I'm going to move these so I can bring this back a little bit. Bleed Upon the Earth. Final Girl, move, attack. The Harvest Magnus level is 0, no effect, 1, 2, or 3. So, yeah. So, right there. So, yes, I am gaining, at level 3, I have 3 extra cool powers that could really help me out do stuff. But if I draw this card, also now I gain 3 extra horror. Which means now my dice rolls might be terrible, and it might be harder for me to get out of them, get my horror level back up. We have 2 copies of And Death followed with him. Target either move, attack. If Harvest Magnus is 1 or higher, choose one of the following. Either take a damage or get a blood point. Shadows in the Fields. All victims of your space pack and then horror level up 2. And then this can also be where you have to worry about that. Like, you get up into level 3. Again, cool abilities, but if you're at the first spot level 3, great, you're fine. But if you're at level 2 or 3 of it, this automatically loses you the game. So, it is that, Roots of Insanity. If horror level is 5 or higher, gain 2 and discard this card, otherwise horror up 2. The Bad Moon Rises. Horror goes up 1, so move and attack. Got 2 of those. Got 2 of these. To the Water, the Earth, and Blood. There are no victims on the board. Discard this and draw a tarot card. Otherwise, target them and move and attack. Violent Growth. If there are no victims, redraw. Target, double move, attack, and then gain 2 horror. It has always been here. If the Harvest Magnus is 3, gain 2 horror, otherwise discard this and go up by 2. Which won't finish the game, but it'll definitely push you that much farther. 2 copies of, was that Scarecrow there before? Target the Final Girl, move, and then up horror 2. It consumes all. If it is Harvest level 0 or 1, target the Final Girl, move, and attack. If it is 2 or 3, target either move and attack, then the Final Girl, move and attack. So again, that's the whole thing that makes this interesting. Cool extra powers, but at the risk that these are going to add a bunch of extra horror, which is going to make your game a lot harder too, because, gaining extra little things like, possibly an extra thing, this is you could automatically lose if you have that for rolling extra dice. Cards cost 1 less, extra health are all great, but if you're only rolling 1 die every turn, because your horror level is so high, then having 3 extra health isn't really that much of a benefit. Or you get something like this where now the killer's going to attack you twice. Great, I have 3 extra health, but they're going to hit me 2 times on this card. Or you could potentially just draw one of these cards and end up losing. Or you have to spend your extra time being like, well, instead of healing, I have to reduce the harvest level so that I don't lose. So yeah, it's an interesting, back and forth gimmick of it, which is really cool. Our minor dark powers are Burning Sickle. Whenever Grimlash deals damage, you also deal damage to every victim in your space. And the Flaming Eyes. Whenever Grimlash enters your space, horror 2, which again could end the game very quickly. Because you only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You only get 10 of these. And if we just go through the deck, right, in general, 1, 2, potentially 3, 4. We got 5, 6, potentially 7, 8. So just by going through the deck once, it's only going to go up 8. This could be a lot adding to that, but then on his board, he also has 2, so 9, 10. So if he goes through the entire board, or the entire deck, or gets almost to the entire deck, you could potentially have all 10, and it could be a game loss, right? So that's the only way it's going to do it. So it's not like there's 20 in there and you really have to combat it a bunch. This should be the only one you really have to worry about because it could keep hitting repeatedly. And then there's 2 of them that could actually ever get completely missed. So yeah, there's kind of some interesting stuff there. But I think that he did have some of his other regular cards that did potentially up the harvest. Nope. Yeah, so like we could have gotten that one too, which ups it every turn. So I could definitely end the game a little bit quicker. But that was the only one that did that. All the rest, some of them gained stuff based on them. But yes, it's kind of the thing is you could go up, but you kind of have to worry about that. So if you start reducing it down, unless you get this card, you may not ever have to worry about going all the way over. But it's still always a risk you have to keep in your mind once you start hitting level 3. Plus, it obviously has a bunch of effects that become a lot stronger. So that's cool. So that is our Grimlash. So let's take a look at our location. Alright, for our location, we have Shady Acres. It's a big farm area. It's just kind of separating into two separate sides. We have like side A and side B with the big road in the middle, a little bit different. We do have a red area here. The altar of the old gods definitely themes into the regular set. The McCoy farmhouse is our item area, the old barn, and the Phillips garage. But then also notice we have 6 corn spots, or fields, which are all in yellow. So those will make a difference. We have the hay field and the cow pasture as well. And then there's only 2 exits. There's one on either side of the road. So not a ton of ways to get there. Basically, you have to go down the road. And then even when you kind of notice when you get into these areas, right? So if we come into here, we can get to the McCoy's farmhouse. But then to get back out, either you have to go back out that way, or you have to go around through the cow pasture and out through the fields this way. And then the roads kind of go along the same thing. Once you kind of pop into this one, you have to go all the way back around. So yeah, so some of these areas kind of get locked off a little bit more than other areas. Coming this way, you can only enter from the one side. So yeah, you get some of these are a little bit locked off. So like once you start getting on this middle road, you can maybe go up or down or left or right. But yeah, once you get to like over the garage, you either have to go back or forth, or you get a little bit less areas locked off. So very interesting. We'll see how those all work. So let's look at our rule book. So what are we getting? We're getting our 10 event, 5 setup, 8 terror cards, 16 item cards, which are all standard. We get 3 children meeple, action token, and the children's card. 8 ancient curses, and our tokens. Rural town, Shady Acres. In its hardship and missing persons cases, the top 13 this fall. Locals have given reports of lost children wandering the town. Officials claim no evidence of foul play as the latest investigation concludes. If you have information on the missing person of your child in distress, please contact Shady Acres Sheriff Department. Today's farmer local headline issue 1013. So right, what do we have for we have a little corn icon. What do we have for our special sub? Shuffle the ancient curse cards and make a face down ancient curse deck. Place the children card near the play area. Place the child meeple. Place a child meeple on the altar of the old god space. Place the children on the children card. Place the children action token above any minion or killer action in the finale card, indicating the children will act before any other enemies. So, like, showing here, if we have the killer, you're going to put them up on top of them. Where the minion would go, if there are any minions, you put them above them as well. So special rule. Children at Shady Acres have gone missing. It's been rumored that they've been doing some despicable things. The children card has the children's health, attack value, and movement speed. The children are not minions, but are considered enemies. Children have their own action line. On the children action token, the children action C is performed at the beginning of the killer phase before minion actions, if applicable, and the killer action. Children do not resolve killer minion actions on tarot cards or anywhere else unless the card specifically states performed by the children. So if it just says everyone attacks, they don't do it. During upkeep, spawn a child by placing its meeple on the altar of the old god space. If all children are already on the board, or if there are no victims on the board, this spawn is ignored. Children may be attacked and killed. If a child is killed, their meeple goes back to the child card and they will respawn in the future. So every turn they're always going to spawn one. So killing them is a stopgap, right? Because you kill them, they're just going to come back the next turn. I mean, if you have the option, you have nothing else to do, you may as well get rid of them. or it could send them back across the board, depending on where you're at. If you choose to attack the children are there more than one in the same space, you're attacking all of them, may divide damage amongst them. Okay, so cool. So that might be a reason to definitely attack them, get rid of multiple at the same time. Victims will fall into space that contains children unless that space also contains a killer, so they're not afraid of children. During the pack phase, victims in a space with a child will pass at least one victim was killed that turn. Abducted victims. The children appear to be under control of ancient gods and abduct people to offer them as sacrifices. When the children resolve, the abduction icon will have space with a victim. On a 1-2, roll a die. On a 1-2, the victim has been abducted to the altar of the old god's sacrifice is killed. Return the child to the altar of the old god's space, then increase the bloodlust as normal and place the victim back on top of the ancient curse deck. Okay, so like our ancient curses, all of them will have 3. So I'm guessing every time they sacrifice 3, they unlock an ancient curse. On 3 of 6, this ability to abduct the victim, nothing happens. There are no victims in the child's space. Try to resolve it, treat it as an attack instead. Alright, so if they have that icon, they're going to try and attack or try and abduct them. As soon as there are 3 sacrifice victims on the back of the top of the ancient curse deck, the old gods have been fed and they release their curse upon the children and remove the victims from the card and reveal the ancient curse by putting it into play. There may be multiple curses at the same time. So kind of interesting. So fighting Grimlash, we got Madness, which could potentially give us extra benefits for a minor effect later. This is kind of like almost the complete opposite. It's like if you let victims get kidnapped, you're just potentially going to get a big giant negative effect. And then field spaces. Bad things always seem to happen on these spaces. Spaces with the corn icon are considered field spaces, several cards that involve them. Cool. Awesome. So let's take a look at our children to begin with. We have the children card. Just so we can kind of see what these are. During the upkeep phase, if there are victims on the board, spawn a child on the Elder God. So they have 1 health, 1 move, 1 attack. And then their extra little token gives them the target move and they try to abduct. So that's what you're going to try and do every turn. If they possibly can. Here are our little meeples. We get 3 of them with little overalls on them to represent children. Are there fronts and backs? You're kidding me, right? Oh my gosh, there is. Right, there's little pockets on the back, and if you flip to the other side, there's like the front big bib. That's crazy to paint that much. They could have just painted it like a blue spot. That's kind of neat, because then they look yellow like other victims, but then they have the thing that differentiates them from all the other colored guys. So pretty cool. I don't know if, like, when we eventually get meeples for this set, if we're going to get, or not meeples, but miniatures. If we get miniatures, we're going to get children miniatures to replace them. It'd be kind of cool just because like every other thing has one, but I'd even be fine with just keeping those guys and not getting extra miniatures for them. Alright, so our setup cards that we have, Demands of the Earth. So everyone's kind of in the one farm area. What's the fork called? That is the hayfield. Everyone's hanging out in the hayfield. Dusk Sacrifice. Everyone's kind of scattered. Harvest season, everyone's kind of spread out on the fields. Reap what you sow. You're hanging out the altar of the old gods. And then final crop. Alright, neat. What are our events? You know, events are always fun. The fields are moving. Didn't we just walk down that road? Place a field token on both the hayfield and cow pasture space. They are now considered corn spaces. So we get 2 extra corn spaces, or field spaces. So you can actually turn the hayfield, the big one there, and the cow pastures into fields. So that basically makes every single space that's not a repair space or the old space into a cornfield. So that could make that very tricky if you're coming across those. Umbral Evocation. There are many dark things beneath the soil. Place the Harvest Shadow token in the killer space. Each time you kill a victim enters that space, bloodlust. So we get a little Umbreon oil spill. Umbriel. Festering Rock. I told him not to go up there. Whenever a victim is killed in a corner space, gain a horror. Acres of Hatred. The air in here is thick. For each corner space, we lose one victim. Blood, maximum 2. The Ravens are circling. They know something we don't. Each child moves 2 space towards the killer. Place a health markers on this card equal to the amount of children in its space. When this killer takes damage, remove health from this card. It lurks between the rows. On a clear night, you can see it moving out into the fields. Panic every victim in a corner space. All victims that panic into the killer space are killed. It hungers for us. Shh, quiet, it's right there. All victims panic. For each victim in the killer space or an adjacent space, gain horror up to a max of 3. Then we got our meeples. I love the little meeples. Sally McCoy. Grandpa always said something wasn't right with the dirt here. Place Sally in the McCoy farmhouse. When Sally is saved, find the Combine Keys card, reshuffle the item deck if necessary. If you already have the Combine Keys, gain a time. She just to drive the Combine. Ralph the Mechanic. Something need fixing? Place Ralph in the Ralph's garage. Well with Ralph, if you take any items with limited use, add extra tracking marker to it even though will exceed the number of circular spaces. And then a Harvest Cultist. We must give back to our generous earth. The closest victim is now the Harvest Cultist. During the upkeep, move the Harvest Cultist 1 space towards you, and if you're in the space, you both move 1 space towards the killer. If you save the Harvest Cultist, minus 2 horror. So it's just gonna drag you towards the killer at all times. Alright, then we have item cards. So we're gonna start with the Combine Keys. Let's mow them down. I love corn. Place the Combine in your space. When moving the Combine and resolving a watch action, you may move an additional space. When moving into a field space with the Combine, place a Harvest token on that space is no longer considered a field. So interesting. So we're going to get the Combine, and then we're going to get 8 plug field tokens. 6 for the main ones that started, and then 2 for the other ones. The other ones that you could have added from the one event card. So that's kind of neat. It's a neat way to counteract the cornfield thing. Now, it doesn't do anything other than that for hurting anybody else. But yeah, shutting them off and shutting those things down could be very helpful. We have a Decrepit Plow. I only need a few good swings out of it. Moonshine Jug. Brewed in Grandpa's bathtub. Discard to recover 4 health. The Corncob Pipe. Never smoke when asleep and never refrain when awake. Discard for minus 3 horror. The Scythe. Better than a mower. When attacking enemies in a field space, you may distribute the damage between those enemies. Then place a Harvest token in a space. It's no longer a corn space. So that's cool. We have an extra way to do that. We have the Sickle. Just 0 range, but it does damage. Would it be cool if it were on fire? Which is a reference to our Grimlash. He just the fire sickle. Rusty Pitchfork. Could use a polish. If there are no successes in your final horror roll, discard the Rusty Pitchfork. Pilgrim's Musket. Lock, stock, and barrel. This enemy cannot be used to attack enemies in a corn space. Pilgrim's Hat. It's hipster. You may move an additional space when starting your movement in a corn space. Children's toys. Maybe, just maybe, they're still in there somewhere. Replace a child and your victim with a normal, in your space with a normal victim. The Bag of Feed. The pioneers used to ride these babies for miles. SpongeBob reference. Hop on nearby cow. Oh, we're just talking about the cows. I was going to talking about a giant rock. Discard up and move up to 4 spaces. Interesting. Mechanics toolbox. Ralph's Hecabar. Discard, take 1 discard item back to your inventory, restoring all uses. That's awesome. Cowboy boots. I'm just a new boot goofing. Use to move up to 2 spaces. Corn Husk Effigy, creepy ass doll. Discard to remove an active ancient curse from the game. The Farmer's Almanac, it's almost 52% accurate. After drawing a tarot card, but before resolving it, you may place it on the bottom of the deck and draw a new tarot card. And our last item card is Locus of Insanity. Not sure what it is, but I found it in the well. Yeah, that's not something you should hang on to. Once per turn, you may add a horde and move yourself in any corn space. Cool. Alright, then before we get to the tarot cards, we have our ancient curses. So let's see what bad things can befall us. Dark Fields. Hey, what's that kid doing on the field? Children treat corn spaces as adjacent to each other. Oh dang, so they can move around the board super fast. Omen of Death. 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy. Anyone know a few hundred? Crow's means? Oh, remember this killer kills a victim. The killer recovers health. Now I kind of want to play the Fate deck with the crows in the cornfield deck. Omen of Plague. Then came the third rider. During the upkeep phase, choose a space with 2 or more victims and 1 killer victim in that space. Ooh, came the third rider, having like a 4 horsemen reference. That would be an interesting idea to have like a Fate game that used all the killers from any set, and you had to pick 4 of them. They each had something kind of separate. Be kind of neat. Again, the only problem with that is that you ever make something that requires stuff from another game, then it becomes less effective if people don't buy everything. Omens of Blood, they're piling out bodies in that field. Once per killer phase, when the killer kills a victim, take a damage. Now it's not. Ain't seen no corn grow like this. Lose up to 2 time when moving into a corn space. Decaying Earth. Earth itself will take you. Whenever you enter a corn space, lose a health. Chthonic Possession. It's them kids. Something ain't right about them. The children have a movement value of 2. And Malevolent Aura. Their eyes. My god, their eyes. When you enter a space with 1 or more children, lose a horror. So you have 14, right? Is that right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, you have 14 victims at the beginning of the game. And you have 3, so 3, 6, 9, 12. So you're going to get about 4 of them every turn, potentially. Or every game. You could potentially get up to 4, so half the deck every game. Depending on what you're playing, there might be other killers or other things that add additional stuff into the game, so that could always be a potential as well. Alright, then we have our terror cards, which are going to be, you belong to the fields now. If you're a corn space, place a killer in your space, and then they target, move, and attack. Never-ending rows. Treat all killer spaces as they're adjacent. The killer treats all spaces as they're adjacent to each other. Dang it. And you draw an event card on top of it. Nobody knows where they take them. If there are no victims or children on the board, discard, draw another terror. Panic all victims in the same space as a child. For each child... For each child with a victim or space, resolve 1 abduct as if he had rolled a 1, so they get to steal them. We have 2 copies of Something Wrong with the Kids. Children treat all corn spaces as adjacent to each other. The children then get to move and abduct and then gain a horror. It knows I'm here. Oh, dang it. Well, you really gotta get that harvester, that combine. So it can move around all spaces. Move, attack, kill. Chow time. Place 2 new victims in the old barn and 2 new victims in the cow pasture. So here we said we had 14. Now this adds 15, 16, 17, 18. So now you can get another 2 more cards almost out of that, potentially. Oh, and then here, out of gas, place 3 new victims in a hayfield. So, yeah, you could end up getting 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So you can end up getting almost all of the curses that way, right? 3, 6, 9, 12, 18. So yeah, you get an extra 1 total out of all of them. Extra 2 out of all of them. But yeah, so that could be pretty crazy. So adding these extra cards could get more stuff. Alright, so then the very last thing we have left to go through are the secret envelopes. So if you do not want to know what these are, thank you for watching the video. Come back, check out the rest of the file growth stuff. Otherwise, we're going to look at these secret item cards. If you're not quite familiar with these are bonus cards that you're supposed to get if you won a game with a specific file growth. So like if Vicky won, she beat the killer, she gets this card, and now you can then from now on add it to any game she plays. And it gets added in the item deck. Either add it into the full deck, and then it might not be in there depending on how many cards you draw, or add it into the stacks that go on the board, so you guarantee it's in the game. But like I've always said with this, is it's your own solo game. You can do what you want. So you can always, if you want to, you could have it start top of one of the decks face up. You can have your players start with it if you want to give yourself an advantage. You could opt to just use it right off the bat without waiting until you beat someone with it. You know, you could also, if you want to, you can mix match. You're only supposed to be used for that specific final girl, but you could use them with anyone. I think very few of them are ever going to be have something that's gonna like list why they couldn't be used with somebody else. Alright, so let's take a look at what we get for these. So we're gonna have Vicky's Taser. So now this is kind of fun because usually the secret items here, and it's always been a new weapon, or usually some item like that, usually a weapon, they're usually an upgraded version of an item in the item deck. But here we're getting a brand new item, which is Zap, with 2 uses. Now, if you deal damage to the killer with this weapon, place the killer on its side. Remember, the killer would move, standing back up instead. Again, it's only Vicky's supposed to be able to use it. But there's no reason why you couldn't give it to anybody and mix it with any other deck. Neat with this, though, is in this particular set, if you have Ralph and Mechanic cards, they'll let you add extra uses or repair your uses. So this could be very potential in this set. And then Joy gets her pitchfork, which her special pitchfork, which has a purple handle on it, like hauling hay. So it has no damage. It's dealing additional damage for each 1 star you rolled in your final result. It's very interesting. It's unlike the other one, though, it doesn't get discarded. So very cool. That is what we have for the Rotten Harvest Final Girls. Now, again, like I said, they are releasing these over time, so we only have a couple of these sets out, so they might eventually add the miniatures for this later on. And I've said in some of the other videos, I'm not going to dive in it as much as I did in the other video, the Buddyland video, the one, I think it's the Zombie Fate deck, little mini Fate deck you can play, has the ability to use vehicles in there. So I don't know if they'll eventually release a pack of extra cards, like, again, if they go to Kickstarter or maybe in their store later on, so you can then use the cards from this Series 4 for that deck as well, because we kind of need what if I add the Combiner in there. But again, some of them might not always make sense outside of their thing, but we'll definitely have to see. So that's what we have for this. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you later. Bye.